Honestly, this show is a dumpster fire, and yes, I came to appreciate some things about it in the end, but I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, really. Welcome back to the Miscellaneous channel where we do miscellaneous things. I'm Selene. I typically cover TV, pop culture, internet trends, and other miscellaneous things on this channel. So subscribe if that's your vibe. Today, I wanted to do everyone a giant public service and watch Vanderpump Villa Season 2. And let you know the tea, because in the famous words of Alyssa Edwards, Mama, this is garbage. I swear I had full intentions of making a video for Season 1 of Vanderpump Villa, and then I got 3/4 through the first episode and completely gave up. Because it's trash, and not in the fun way. Not in the fun, trashy reality TV way that a lot of us love. It's trash in like a way that's not entertaining. It's pretty boring. But for Season 2, they added in Stassi, which is an interesting development to fans of Vanderpump Rules. So it piqued my curiosity just enough to give it another try. You know, Lisa Vanderpump loves a second chance, so I'm giving her show a second chance. But adding Stassi is very interesting because it is her official return to TV after she was fired from Vanderpump Rules in 2020. And regardless on how you feel about her, she is a problematic figure. She's pretty damn good at being entertaining in front of reality TV cameras. If she has any talent, it is that. She's able to be like really genuine and true to herself, and that sounds super easy, but it's honestly so hard to find, especially nowadays in reality TV. That's why a lot of the cast of Vanderpump Villa is just not interesting, because audiences pick up on authenticity really quickly. So at least in Season 2 of Vanderpump Villa, we have someone there, Stassi, who is good at being in front of cameras and being real and authentic and being interesting. And it's interesting that she's in this kind of new role on a Lisa Vanderpump show that is more of a peer to Lisa rather than a subordinate like she has been in the past. As much as Lisa's always talking about like, Stassi was such a pain in the ass and blah blah blah, I feel like she has always had a soft spot for her, and I just know Sheena is out there somewhere fuming that Stassi got this opportunity and is kind of like rising the ranks in Lisa Vanderpump's circle. Maybe Sheena being salty about this is what led her to exposing Lisa in her new memoir. We don't know yet, but she's been teasing that she's going to expose Lisa Vanderpump in her new memoir. She is trying to sell copies of it after all. So Sheena and Lisa are kind of feuding right now. But anyway, it is an interesting addition to add someone else from the Vanderpump Rules universe to Vanderpump Villa in Stassi. I feel like it's smart to entice more of the Bravo fans to come over, since Vanderpump Villa is not a Bravo show. Lisa Vanderpump is so associated with Bravo, it seems like it would be, but it is on Hulu. I think with Stassi, they're trying to like entice the Bravo viewers, which is a tactic that very much worked on me. On top of also, they did a crossover with the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives this season, and that also piqued my interest because they are very messy as a group and very interesting, and I watched their show, so it worked on me. However, after watching the season, all of that is still not enough to make it a good show. Sorry to report. As a concept, Vanderpump Villa just feels very confused. It kind of feels like the AI slop of reality TV. Like if you ask ChatGPT to gather all the reality TV show trends and spit out one show that incorporates a little bit of every kind of reality show. It might be closest in concept to like a Below Deck type of show, since it is job focused and hospitality focused. But in Vanderpump Villa, it feels like the jobs are less difficult and less specialized than in something like a Below Deck. But then Vanderpump Villa also has a sprinkle of competition show, because there is like a bonus at the end for staff, or for one staff member who has been the best throughout the season. So there's a bit of a competition element, but it's kind of like there's no structure leading up to it like points or anything. And it's all up to Lisa, so we don't really know. Like, she kind of changes up the prizing at the very end. And it's not exactly what we expected. It's adding a little gamification to the concept, which just kind of like muddies it. And then at other times it feels like a show like Bachelor in Paradise or Love Island, because everyone on the cast is trying to couple up for screen time, honestly. Or sometimes when people get fired, a new bombshell will enter the villa. Literally, the villa, the Vanderpump Villa. Literally, I think one of the bombshells who entered the villa in season 2 at the end was on Love Island and entered that villa as a bombshell. At times, it does feel like one of these dating shows that's kind of raunchy and has like very heightened drama that feels very forced and fake, because these are just strangers that just met. So in trying to be every show, Vanderpump Villa accomplishes being no show. It like somehow all cancels out and it becomes a nothing burger. So let me go through what's wrong specifically, or what puts me off of Vanderpump Villa. Firstly, like I said, the cast is pretty intolerable for the most part. There are all these influencer type clout chasey people that are all hyper aware of the cameras and how they're coming off to audiences, and all trying to outperform each other to get the attention of the cameras. They'll start yelling for no reason, they'll couple up and then fight and make up as if they're married. They constantly like snitch on each other for like any little comment like taken out of context. It's not even interesting plot points. There is a lot of drama to Vanderpump Villa, but there's just like minimal authenticity to any of it, and audiences are smart. We pick up on that immediately. And then getting into their actual jobs at the villa, they're just kind of bullshit sometimes. Like, some jobs are more important and real than others. There's mostly like people in back of house, like kitchen and housekeepers. Then there's people in front of house, which are like guest services, events, servers, and bartenders. But half their positions are really vague because they all just kind of like end up doing everything, a little bit of everything. Aside from like literally the cooks in the kitchen, it feels like everyone helps out with events and setting up and taking down, and it's just kind of random what they're doing. So like, I don't get that invested in people's jobs because they just kind of float around. It's weird, like at the reunion it comes out like some people didn't think the jobs were that real. I mean, they don't like outright say that, but if you can hear the rainstorm outside, just take it as some relaxing white noise in the background. But yeah, their jobs are just really vague, and it's kind of hard to tell if they're just bullshit or not sometimes. And they only host one guest group at a time, so the staff is not that large, but it's also kind of like too many people for just like taking care of a group of like 6 or 7 people. Also, something that seems to be part of the job at Vanderpump Villa is like the staff will work during the day, like they'll be cooking and serving and setting up events and wearing like their little uniforms and everything. But then at night, they have to come out and party with the guests for like the nightcap portion, which is usually like debaucherous, just like drinking and having fun. And like the staff changes out of their uniforms and it's just like civilians mingling with the guest group. It seems like they have to do this, but it just feels very strange because I'm like, what friend group traveling wants like their whole night to be taken up with these random staff members mingling? And then often the staff drama like bleeds into the guest drama, and the staff will like kiss guests sometimes, or they'll like give them lap dances. They play like, you know, dirty truth or dare type games. Like they do whatever like the guest wants, but it feels a little bit like as legal as you can get without being a brothel situation. Like maybe I'm being dramatic, but I don't know. I just find that structure weird of like they have their day jobs with their uniforms and then at night they have to party with the guests. I get there's like such thing as like concierges that for like really rich people and stuff that like show people around, or there's like bottle service type people and like help facilitate partying, I guess. But this just feels like too close for comfort. Like they literally work during the day serving the guests, party with the guests, and then in the morning have to get up and like set up breakfast and stuff. The lines of professionalism are just like so blurred that it makes no sense. And also, as I'm watching through the season, it feels like Lisa throws a party or a dinner just for the staff, like literally like every other day, because they're working so hard, they need to unwind. And usually this is like where more drama plays out and like people couple up and fight and whatever. It just adds to the phoniness of the whole setup. Like, there's no suspending my disbelief that we're here just to watch the staff have drama. Like, I feel like Lisa watched White Lotus and said, I want a show where staff in cute uniforms waves at hotel guests too, but then didn't really develop the rest of the plot, sadly. I guess to me the most redeeming part of the show is like the vibes. The setting is very beautiful. Season 1 is in France in a chateau, and season 2 is in a castle in Italy. Very idyllic European venues. This show is that type of content that Netflix executive said. That one guy that was talking about like filmmakers need to be making content for the background only. We need to prioritize content to play in the background. Well, Vanderpump Villa is that show. It's perfect for the background. If you're trying to watch it like Coco Melon, you might enjoy the vibes. They even play the background music so loud that you can't even hear what the people on the show are saying. I'm guessing it's to distract you from the nothingness happening in the drama, because the music was just a blaring. Like, the sound mixing on this show, just like aside from all the other flaws, like it's pretty bad in some scenes where you can't hear it. I do want to admit that by the time I watched both seasons, I low-key started warming up to the show and the cast. I know it doesn't sound like it because I'm being a hater today on the show. Maybe it was Stockholm Syndrome because there's like 11 episodes per season, 45 minutes to an hour long. I'd spent a lot of time watching it, analyzing it. But no, I think I was able to like weed through the cast and find the few people on the cast that were more authentic and kind of enjoy them. Because yeah, the majority are clout chasers, people just trying to be influencers. But there are a couple that like care about their jobs or do a good job. Once I found them, I got a little bit attached to those people. I don't know. So if you're one of like the 5 people that enjoyed the show, don't feel bad about it. It's okay. I'm happy for you. But in general, if you're a fan of Vanderpump Rules, of Lisa Vanderpump, I do not recommend watching this show. I mean, I've seen so many people that are fans that start watching and give up pretty quickly, just like I did in season 1. I really don't think it's worth your time. Like, nothing of substance happens in it, if that makes sense. There's no FOMO to be had. But now I've watched this whole season and have no one to talk about it with because no one watches it. So let me go through and recap some major plot points. I'll give some opinions. I'll answer some questions that I anticipate people might have about the show. So whether you've watched the season or the show or not, you should be able to follow along this video. There will be spoilers for the season, but I imagine most people watching this review won't be very encouraged to watch the show at this point. So I want to start with one of the big questions that I anticipate most Vanderpump Rules fans would have, and that is, how much is Stassi involved in the season? How big is her part really? I would say Stassi has like 2 or 3 appearances per episode. She moves into the castle and lives there as long as the staff are there with her husband Beau and her 2 kids. One is a baby, one is a toddler. And her role on the show is to serve as an extra set of eyes and ears for Lisa around the castle, kind of observe the staff and report back to Lisa about anything they're up to, or if like they're misbehaving or whatever. And as you'd expect, anytime Stassi is in a scene, she's very entertaining. One of my favorite scenes is where she's talking to this chaotic bisexual guy, and he just is always speaking in like these weird metaphors that don't make any sense, and she's literally just like, what the hell are you saying? Like, I don't understand. Why are you speaking in riddles? She feels like a real person in this like very heightened, like superficial fake reality. Her big goal during the season is to learn Italian and obtain like Italian citizenship, because apparently Beau is Italian and has citizenship and they want their kids to have it. So whatever. I think this was kind of like a bullshit reason, because then at the reunion, Lisa asked her, like, how's your progress on your citizenship or your Italian? And she's like, honestly, I'm worse off than before. So it just kind of feels like a loose tie-in that worked as an excuse to like get her into the show. She does have a couple of scenes with Lisa where Lisa acknowledges her growth since back in the day when Stassi worked for her on Vanderpump Rules. And I feel like you can see how Lisa really respects Stassi now. I mean, this opportunity alone speaks volumes about how Lisa feels about Stassi. And I kind of feel like Lisa is testing her out, grooming her to be like her successor, or at least a successor of like the Lisa Vanderpump brand, which makes total sense. Stassi is very smart, witty, entertaining, and problematic, just like Lisa. So if you're just interested in seeing Stassi and what's up with her this season, but you don't really care about the Vanderpump Villa whole thing, I'd recommend just watching episode 7. It's a special Stassi birthday episode, and like Stassi's birthdays are like big in the Vanderpump Rules lore. The guest group that comes to stay at the castle is actually her own friends and family. It's nobody from Vanderpump Rules, no Katie or Kristen or anybody, but we do see her younger sister who appeared on Vanderpump Rules like once, Georgie, who looks just like their mom. And Stassi's sister Georgie is actually kind of like gets mixed in the drama of the staff at the nightcap thing when they're partying. One of the girls, Lexi, on the staff, kisses Georgie to get revenge at her guy, Tyler, because he made out with a guest, like, in the previous group. It's really messy. And it works. Tyler was really jealous of Georgie. Also, Stassi and Beau do get in a fight this episode because they both get pretty drunk. And also, Beau has, like, a weird, like, relationship with his sister. Like, apparently they only met when they were adults, and he, like, has such high regard for her that Stassi feels she comes second to his sister, and it's a little weird. So there is, like, a little bit of, like, tea and drama that develops with Stassi and Beau, which is honestly more real. I mean, because they're married and in a long-term relationship, and we've seen their relationship on Vanderpump Rules. That fight felt way more high stakes than any stupid fight that couples within the staff were having, because they're just basically strangers and whatever. And honestly, this Stassi and Beau fight is a moment of like ugliness and vulnerability. That is why they are good on reality TV. This episode felt like a way to tease Stassi's reality show, which is coming soon, called Stassi Says, because it explored some of like the issues Stassi and Beau are having as a couple. It's nothing like that seems major or like divorce inducing or anything. It's just like her not coming first to his sister, and also he's like wanting to get back into a career because I think right now he's a stay-at-home dad slash like assistant to Stassi's businesses. So I think it's kind of teasing what their conflicts are going to be if they explore them on her reality show, which I imagine they will. Overall, it was nothing major with Stassi, but it goes to show like she does show vulnerable and ugly sides, and she was willing to like fight with Beau in front of cameras and in a way that felt real. And that's what you need to be entertaining on TV. Like, the willingness to show vulnerability is most of the battle of like being compelling on a reality show. And that's what all these like influencer types are too scared to do, because it's a very scary thing to do. It's what opens up the conversation with the whole audience, the whole wide world, to like give opinions on, you know, your most vulnerable aspects of your life. But it's just the magic sauce, I think. And Stassi was willing to put it out there, as she always has, and it's why she is compelling. So yeah, if you're just wanting to see Stassi, episode 7 is your episode. And I'm sure there will be like compilations of her scenes at some point on YouTube if they're not already out there. So another question people might be wondering about this season is about the other big appearance in episode 3, and that is, did anything major happen with the mom talks with the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives crew, who were the guest group for one of the episodes, episode 3. But the messy one wasn't there. The super messy one, and then also the one with the short hair, the short flippy hair, she wasn't there. I think Whitney and Jess or Jen, I don't remember their names. No, because Jesse's another one. Oh my god, what's her name? The actual swinger one was not there. And if you don't know, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives is a pretty popular reality show on Hulu that started last year. And it was actually very juicy. I watched it and I was obsessed with it. I feel so weird, like I didn't make a video about it. I think I was just like, I'm just gonna enjoy this. It's like about young Mormon moms who are famous on TikTok. It sounds incredibly stupid when I say it out loud, but it was like really juicy. And season 2 is coming up and I'm excited. And I'll probably make a video this time, I hope. Because I have so many thoughts and I can't get into them here. So yeah, when the mom talks arrive, we learn that the Affleck one, she's only distantly related to Ben Affleck. She is moving to Arizona, which was news to me because at the end of season 1 of Mormon Wives, she was going to move to the East Coast, and it was like this big cliffhanger because that meant she would have to leave the group and her content would suffer and stuff. But I guess the compromise is she's moving to Arizona, which is not very far from Salt Lake City, Utah, so maybe she'll still be able to do the Mormon Wives stuff. I don't know. I mean, this is probably old news to fans that are following, but I don't follow them on social, nothing. So this was news to me. So as far as plots go, Layla, who was the mom talk who was getting a divorce in season 1, because she's like the only single one, she makes out with one of the guys, Sam, and that makes his girl cry, and she's crying in front of the guests, and that's a big faux pas. So, so she's in a little bit of drama. Also, that chaotic bisexual guy pulls her aside and tries to be like, we don't, let's get away from the cameras and get our mics off, and tells her don't trust what people say and stuff like that. So he gets in big trouble for that and it gets him fired. And then this was kind of like the juiciest tea, and that happened around Demi. Demi is still very much married at the time of Vanderpump Villa, and she has a very deep and intimate conversation with Marciano that feels flirty, and she also is talking to him like, I almost divorced my husband 27 times. So it sounds like her marriage is very rocky. And then at the reunion, Marciano was heavily implying that they hooked up in the real world at Tom Tom, no less. And he also heavily implied that he hooked up with another mom talk. I'm assuming it's the one who is identical looking to Demi because they look like twins. Jesse. Maybe he got them confused and accidentally hooked up with Jesse. But he said we'll see some of that play out in the new season of Mormon Wives. So I'm dying to know what happened there, on her end, because she's the one who's married. I don't give a crap about Marciano. He's literally the worst cast member of Villa, out of anybody. But I'm dying to know what happened, and I'm really grossed out that we might see Marciano in Secret Lives of Mormon Wives season 2. Not looking forward to that part. And he's obviously such a clout chaser too. He wiggled himself onto another reality show knowing he burned all the bridges at Vanderpump Villa. So it's whatever. But yeah, interested to know how Demi's marriage shakes out this next season. Another question about Vanderpump Villa season 2 that I imagine some people might have is how much continuity is there between season 1 and 2? Do I have to watch season 1 to watch season 2? My general answer is not really. I don't think so. There's a handful of returning cast members from season 1, but there's also a lot of new people in season 2 that it makes it a pretty different dynamic completely than season 1. 6 people returned from season 1, Gabriella, Andre, Grace, and Chef. Those 4 are honestly pretty decent at their jobs and care. Especially Chef, he's the one person on the staff that is really great at his job and he only cares about his job. And that's what makes him the most interesting person on the cast anyway. But then also returning was the most toxic couple of season 1, Hannah and Marciano. They caused so much havoc in season 1. It makes season 1 pretty insufferable to me. They are like the worst offenders of just getting drunk and screaming at each other, at other people, for no reason, like just drunk people making up stuff reasons, and generally being super annoying. So in season 2, spoiler alert, Hannah and Marciano do get fired finally around episode 4, and honestly the season improves quite a bit. After they were gone, it made me realize, like, oh, I don't hate everyone on this show. I hate some people more than others. And when the worst, most annoying people are gone, the show is a little more enjoyable. And I was so annoyed at the reunion for season 2. Like, a lot of people said that Hannah should have a second chance. So I'm pretty sure we're gonna see her again, and I'm not looking forward to that. I hate her so much. She's just so annoying. She's the peak, like, influencer, clout chaser, just, like, I don't know, like, she'll fight with people and, like, just totally misquote them. Like, she makes up in her head what she's mad at and is just pissed and screaming. It's just, like, so boring to watch. Like, I don't know if she thinks it's entertaining. At least I'm glad Marciano seems to have really burned the bridges at Vanderpump Villa, because apparently at Lisa's opening of Pinky's in Vegas, her latest restaurant or bar, whatever, Marciano behaved terribly and apparently was super rude to Chef and Chef's girlfriend, and to Lisa he was like hitting on her, saying all the stuff he would do to her. That seems like crossing a line even for Lisa Vanderpump. I don't know, I don't put it past her to like not forgive a man, but I don't know, it just feels like he ruined his chance, and hopefully if we do have to see Hannah again, it'll be without him, because they just both are the exact same way and just egg each other on. And honestly, they got fired together because they were egging each other on, and just the castle was so much more pleasant without either of them there. I can already imagine they're gonna want this like redemption arc for Hannah next season or in subsequent seasons, and like the big finale with her will be like she gets the bonus at the end for once, because she changed her ways or whatever. Like, I already see the mapping of the storyline happening. I'm not looking forward to that one. Speaking of Hannah and Marciano getting fired, I did like in season 2, there was a lot more firing happening than in season 1. When people were doing like really crappy jobs or not doing their jobs at all, they actually faced consequences, which at least added a semblance of reality to like this workplace concept. Like in one of the first episodes, Lisa fires the sous chef because the girl is just acting like she's just there to have fun, and she says she's worked at like Michelin star restaurants and doesn't know how to work the oven or work anything. She's super frazzled in the kitchen. It's hard to believe. And she's the one that at the reunion, she like implies that she thought the jobs were bullshit and that she was just there to have fun. She obviously didn't say that directly, but that was the subtext. And Lisa's like, how dare you? And it's like, what do you mean, how dare you? These jobs seem like bullshit most of the time. Like, the cast themselves don't know if their jobs are real or not. So it's like, how are we as the audience supposed to believe their jobs are real? So I approved of all of the firings. I always found that it was a better show and a better dynamic after they were fired. Generally, I feel like you don't have to watch season 1 to enjoy season 2 or understand season 2. I mean, the plot lines are so benign and simple that like it's not fucking Severance. Like, you're not gonna miss out on something major. They flash back to stuff if it's relevant from season 1. I think they made some good additions or changes from season 1 to the staff. Like, I liked the addition of my boy Hagen-Dazs. Hagen is his name. I call him Hagen-Dazs. He's like a bitchy mean gay that has great one-liners insulting all the straight people there. He said Marciano looked like a rotisserie chicken, which Makes sense somehow. Hagen was like technically a housekeeper, but like his background was in like corporate finance, and he just had like one picture next to a toilet holding a toilet brush, and that was like his resume for housekeeping. Whatever. But I was glad Hagen was there, in spite of his fake toilet pictures. I also really liked the addition of Nicole. She was one of the new cooks. She actually had a personality. She was great bisexual representation. She called out people and looked out for people. She just seemed like a genuine personality. I even liked Alyssa. She was a bit boring, but she kind of had like a cutesy personality. And she was very cutesy, and she had like a nasally voice that was very cutesy. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. So I don't know. I think you'll just miss out on some lore from the 6 returning people, mostly Hannah and Marciano, because they had the most screen time in season 1. It's really not a big deal. Andre and Gabriella were also a returning kind of couple from season 1, but like, you don't really need that backstory that much. They kind of cover it in season 2. So I want to move on to talk about some of the most like noteworthy / stupid plot points this season that were vaguely interesting, I guess, just because like, where else am I going to talk about this? I want to talk a little bit about Sianna and Siadi. They were like the toxic couple of the season, especially once Hannah and Marciano left. Sianna and Siadi were the toxic couple. Ugh, they were so annoying. I mean, Sianna, she is such a hot mess express. And I feel so bad for her because she seemed like a nice girl. She seemed to have a tough background, but she just wasn't even good at her job. She like told guests that the chef was pissed at them when they were late for breakfast. I'm like, how dumb do you have to be to like shit talk the chef in front of guests? Like, oh god, just obvious things like that. And she was hung up on like one of the most toxic guys there, Siadi. It was giving very much like Kristen Doty in season 2 of Vanderpump Rules with Tom Sandoval, and how she would always complain about him, say she's done with him. She'd say they're breaking up, and then she would be caught in his bed the next morning saying, I don't care how I look. That's one of my favorite moments. Like at one point, Sianna and Siadi are fighting. They're like in a fight, and then he accidentally hits her with the door, and it really hurts her shoulder. And somehow this like brings them back together, and they make up because he injured her. It's just like, oh my god, it's like so freaking toxic. And then the poor Sianna, she's like sick half the time, like throwing up. She like doesn't process alcohol well, or something's up. And the other cast keep using her throwing up as a weapon. Like Siadi says it's Hannah's fault that Sianna is throwing up, and Hannah comes to like yell at Sianna while she's throwing up in the bathroom, walks in on her, she's like naked in there. And honestly, this is what got Hannah and Marciano fired, this whole incident. Like, just let the girl throw up in peace. Those are the plots of Vanderpump Villa. Like, what? It's just drunk people being drunk. And then Siadi, he was a very shady character all season because, like, the climax of season 2 is that Siadi gets exposed for having a secret British accent. He's been speaking in an American accent the whole season, but some people have heard him speak in a British accent, but then he denies that he ever spoke in a Who cares? Literally, Chef has the only logical reaction to this. He's literally like, I don't care. Who cares, this guy's accent? But everyone is making it like, oh my god, he's a master manipulator. He had a secret accent. Like, how can we trust anything about him? The music, it's all dramatic. It's just like, shut the fuck up. Who cares? This guy is like putting on an accent. And he's like kind of denying it, but then he'll be like, well, I wanted to speak American around Americans to like fit in. It's like, he's just making up reasons. I don't really get it. It's riveting, isn't it? But aside from his accent, Siadi was shady all season because he would be really condescending to the fellow staff members. He treated Sianna horribly. Sianna got fired eventually because she was doing a horrible job. And after she was kicked out of the castle, Siadi was like, I don't care. I don't give a fuck. And the staff was like, what the hell? You were like sleeping with her this whole time. And then he wore a suit to the beach because he has main character syndrome. Like, the guy was just like really annoying and shady. But he would be really good and really charming in front of the guests. So all the guests would always praise him to Lisa. And so the staff was like so pissed because Siadi would treat them horribly or be like weird to them, but then in front of the guests he would turn on the charm. So he made it really far, but then got fired at the very end because he did finally lose it in front of a guest and yelled at a guest, and it was something about a magic trick. He got mad about a magic trick. I don't even remember. It was so stupid. And at the reunion he showed his true colors one final time and it didn't show up because he's a fucking coward. It's not surprising at all. So I talked about the most noteworthy guest groups already, but another guest group that was like interesting to me or just of note to me was like these fake Olympians. When Lisa introduces the guests, she'll give like a background to the staff about the guest group, what they're celebrating, who's like the main guest of honor, what their goals are and plans are for the day and the night. And Lisa was like, we have athletes coming straight from the Paris Olympics, because it was last summer. And I was like, oh my god, is Simone Biles coming? Is it gonna be, you know, the breakdancing lady? Is it gonna be the muffin guy, the chocolate muffin guy? I was thinking like the Olympians. I was like, oh my god, the Olympians are coming. And then she starts to describe the group, and it's like a couple from the challenge, and then a few people that have competed in the Olympics before, and they're friends. And so I was like, oh, she means like people who are athletes who went to the Paris Olympics to spectate the Olympics and then come here. I mean, okay, to be fair, there was like one guy that was in the Olympics that year in the group. So technically, there was an Olympian, a current Olympian, but I was just like, what the heck? Like, I was like, I can't believe these, like, the people from the challenge, like, what? She just made it sound like they were coming fresh from the Paris Olympics, like, from competing in them, not from just being there. But anyway, the challenge couple actually had an interesting plot point with the staff, because the man in the couple, who looks like Johnny Bananas, but every man on the challenge just looks like Johnny Bananas to me. So the Johnny Bananas looking guy had like a really intense sexual tension with the chaotic bisexual man. He's the one that had that conversation with Stassi and was like speaking in riddles. He was like, I'm a Virgo, I'm an empath, I am an artist, but I don't paint strokes on people. It was just like, what? Oh god, Stassi clocked him so good. But anyway, so that guy, his name is Aiden, he had like a sexual tension with the Johnny Bananas looking guy. And then he was like passing love notes to him and passing his number. And I mean, it seemed like that couple, the challenge couple, was like open because the girlfriend was just there, or wife, whatever she is. She was just like, okay, like watching it happen, and she didn't mind. So Aiden like dubbed him the crop top daddy. And they brought out the crop top daddy to the reunion, and they made out in front of everybody. So that was just like a random ass plot point. It was something that happened. And for fans of the challenge, maybe you have more context, but Aiden got fired eventually because of he like pulled the Mormon wife aside and was like trying to tell her the staff wasn't genuine or whatever, which I mean is tea, but he also apparently at the reunion said like he never understood what his job was. He was never doing a job. He was just vibes. So those were the noteworthy plot points to me. There were a lot of other groups and things that happened in the castle, but nothing particularly that interesting. I'll go through some of the cast members I felt were more genuine and interesting as time went on. And starting with Chef, I've already talked about him, Chef Anthony. He's like this angry French man who just cares about doing his damn job. And it makes him very interesting because you can tell whether the cameras were there or not, he acts the exact same, probably. Like, he's kind of an asshole, but he's keeping it real. and that makes him very compelling. He won like the second place bonus in season 2, and every guest that walks in instantly has a crush on Chef. It's just the rules of the Vanderpump Villa. But I think it is because he's so no bullshit and genuine, and he can cook, and he's attractive, obviously, but I think his authenticity helps him too. So another cast member that kind of surprised me how much I warmed up to her was Gabriella. She actually won the biggest bonus, the $30,000, at the end of season 2. And she was in season 1. As people started getting fired and like the negative people were getting weeded out, I started to notice her more as like someone that was like very on top of her job. I think because she also kind of had like an on and off fake romance thing with Andre, I kind of wrote her off at first, but she was really good at her job, and when someone would be doing a bad job, she would call them out. Like even one time, Chef, in a rare Chef mistake, he made like a bad pasta, and Gabriella called him out on his bad pasta, because it felt like anything that was like less than perfect for the guests, she would call people out. So she kind of took on more of a leadership role towards the end, and Lisa noticed, and she offered her a leader position for next season, and I think that would be great for her. There was like a leader, like a manager of the villa in season 1, which was a position that wasn't there in season 2, and that guy was crazy unhinged, Eric. In season 1, luckily he didn't come back. I mean, he had like major allegations against him. He seemed like truly unhinged, but I imagine maybe Gabriella will kind of bring that position back, maybe in a future season, if they get a future season. And I think she'd be great at it. I ended up really warming up to her, and like it felt like the drama she would make or the fight she would pick when it was outside of like the Andre relationship stuff, because I don't care about that, but like the fight she would pick most of the time would be about the job, which at least felt like, okay, like we care about our jobs, crazy. And I think she's also a good example of this like concept that to make good reality TV, you have to be willing to be vulnerable and to be humiliated. This is like the stupidest example, but like there was one part where Gabriella just farted. Not in front of a guest, of course, but in front of her other staff. And at first I thought that was like so stupid, because I'm like, excuse me, why are we wasting screen time on someone waiting around and just farting? Like, huh? But to be honest, it kind of shows why she's one of the more genuine feeling cast members on this stupid show. She at least has some level of authenticity where she's able to be like a little vulnerable in front of cameras, even through a simple fart. Most of these people are so caught up in their appearances and like how hot they look and being influencers that they like would never fart in front of a camera. But Gabriella did that. She did that, and that's what we've come to on this show. Like, I'm praising the fart scene. Yeah. Yes, we are. So to me, it makes a lot of sense that these two people, Chef and Gabriella, won the top 2 prizes of the season. Honestly, when Gabriella won, I was very excited and happy for her. I felt it was very deserved. Literally, the key is just to like care about your job and focus on your job, because I feel like people on this show think it's best to like couple up, and that's like sex sells and people want to see love. But on this show, the relationships just feel like drunken horniness at best and phony and forced at worst. Audiences are not going to be invested in like a love story like that. I had zero investment in any couple because I knew they were just in this bubble and they all want screen time. So the likelihood of any of these relationships being real is 0. And the proof is in the reunion where they ask every couple, like, how did it work out in the real world? And they're like, we texted a few days and it fizzled out because we went back to the real world. And it's just like, of course it did. Of course it did. That's what we all expected. So I want to end this video with a speed round of categorizing all of the fuckboys on the season, because I noticed as I was watching that like every straight man on this season, except for Chef, every man is a fuckboy. but they are all different flavors of fuckboy. And I feel like this is a good way to give you an idea of the type of fuckboys shown on this season. So first of all, Marciano, we talked a lot about him already. He's a classic alpha male fuckboy, treats women terribly. Hannah couldn't glance towards the direction of another man without him screaming at her, feels borderline dangerous, gets very drunk and fucked up and is rude. So, probably Marciano was the most toxic man on the season. It's stiff competition, to be honest. So next is Sam. He was a bartender. He is the mysterious type of fuckboy. He reused his romantic lines, saying, "My love language is so physical touch right now," while touching her. He reused that. He used it on Alyssa, and then he reused it on Faith, the guest. A fuckboy with a mysterious angle, where he's kind of quiet and brooding. I don't know. Okay, next, Andre. He is the funny fuckboy. He's probably the fuckboy that's most easy to hang out with as a friend. He was decent at his job, good with the guests. He was a good friend to be around. He didn't make it a bad time for anybody, but he was still a fuckboy because he was supposedly so in love with Gabriella one episode and crying to Lisa about how in love he was. And then the next episode, he'd be horny for a guest. He was very two-faced in the end, and he is very charming and funny, just as a coworker. If he was my coworker, I'd get along with him. I'd have fun, just hee hee ha ha. But he was still proven a fuckboy by his two-facedness with Gabriella. Okay, now Siadi. We talked about him, the fake British accent. He is the pretentious Gen Z type of fuckboy. He was giving very apathetic. Anytime he wanted to avoid accountability, he would just be like, "I don't give a fuck, I don't care." Very monotone. It felt like a very Gen Z brand of fuckboy. And then he would be really corny when he was trying to seduce Sianna, behind closed doors. He would get really romantic. So that felt like a very pretentious Gen Z type of fuckboy to me. Okay, and then we had Tyler, who was the staff photographer. He is the hipster fuckboy, kind of a little artsy-fartsy, had a little earring with a cross on it. Honestly, the girl he was on and off with in the castle was kind of the more toxic one in the relationship, but he still gave fuckboy vibes, but just the hipster kind of fuckboy. Then we had Dom. He was the other cook. He is the dorky fuckboy. He saw that Grace was very interested in him, kept making advances at him, and he did not have the balls to friend zone her. Instead, he would just flirt with Alyssa, who was way out of his league, and talk about having dreams about her and stuff. It was just very dorky to me. He was a dorky fuckboy. And Grace, I don't know. I feel like it's an unpopular opinion. Honestly, I don't know how people feel about these cast members because I feel like not a lot of people watch this show. But Grace won the third place prize at the end, and she's the other housekeeper. There's only two, Hagen and Grace. And Grace came back from season 1. She's just kind of boring to me. She's not very eventful. She doesn't feel completely fake. She actually is trying to start a house cleaning business, and she has started it now. She's set at the reunion. So she's likable enough, but to me, I do feel she's always having a crush. Ever since season 1, she was crushing on Andre. Season 2, she was crushing on Dom. A new guy, TJ, came in and she was crushing on him. I don't know. I just kind of feel like she calculated that if I always have a crush, I'll make sure I stay and have screen time. And I feel like it worked because she came back for season 2. I don't think she's totally fake, but I think she is using the crush thing all the time to just have a constant something going on to make her interesting. I just don't fully buy it. But as far as her job goes, she does feel genuine about that part. And then finally we have Aiden, who we already talked about a lot. He's the bisexual fuckboy. So those are all the fuckboys in the castle. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I guess the only truly redeeming quality of this season was that someone did make a Lizzie McGuire movie reference. In episode 4, they were watching the fireworks and someone said, "Sing to me, Paolo." If we don't make these references, we lose these references. So thank you to that person. I don't know who it was because the camera was not on them, but shout out to her. I would love to know your thoughts on Vanderpump Villa. If you watched, I doubt it, but if you watched it, I'd love to hear your favorite plot points, your least favorite things, or if you gave up on it, why you gave up on it. If you have any questions about the season or the show, let me know in the comments below. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed. I put out new videos whenever I feel like it about TV, pop culture, internet trends, and other miscellaneous things. And you can follow me at Miscellaneous to keep up with me, or just turn on the bell notification here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!